She was just reaching for her purse when the man's knife flashed in the parking lot lights. Sarah's scream died in her throat as he pressed closer, his breath reeking of desperation and cheap whiskey. But what happened next made even the thief freeze, because the rumble that suddenly filled the air wasn't thunder. Sarah had always been the careful type, the woman who checked her back seat before getting in, who carried her keys between her fingers at night, who avoided empty parking lots like they were graveyards. At 43, divorced for 2 years, she'd learned that the world could be cruel to women who walked alone. Her daughter Emma was away at college now, and most evenings Sarah found herself eating dinner in front of the television, jumping at every creak the old house made. She wasn't living anymore. She was just surviving, one cautious day at a time. That evening, she'd only stopped at the roadside diner because her gas light had been blinking for 20 miles. And she knew better than to risk getting stranded on Highway 40 after dark. The diner sat like a lonely lighthouse between two endless stretches of Kansas farmland, its neon sign flickering between open and pen as if it couldn't quite decide. She'd filled her tank, grabbed a coffee to go, and was walking back to her Honda when she felt him behind her. That prickle on her neck that every woman knows, the one that whispers danger before your mind catches up. She didn't know that this moment of terror would become the night she learned that angels sometimes wear leather and ride Harleys. The thief was young, maybe 25, with hollow eyes that spoke of too many wrong turns and burnt bridges. His hand shook as he held the knife, and Sarah could see he was as scared as she was. But desperate people do desperate things. "Just give me the purse, lady. Don't make this harder than it needs to be." His voice cracked on the last word, and for a moment, Sarah almost felt sorry for him. Almost. She was reaching for her bag, her hands trembling so badly she could barely grip the leather strap, when she heard it, the deep, throaty growl of a motorcycle engine. Then another, and another. The sound multiplied like rolling thunder until it seemed to come from everywhere at once. The thief's eyes went wide, the knife wavering in his grip as he spun around. Through the dim parking lot, shapes began to emerge from the darkness. Leather-clad figures on roaring machines, their headlights cutting through the night like avenging stars. 1, then 5, then 20, then more than Sarah could count. They rolled in like a tide of chrome and thunder, forming a perfect circle around Sarah and her attacker. The lead biker, a mountain of a man with a gray beard that reached his chest, killed his engine and swung off his bike with surprising grace. His leather vest bore patches Sarah couldn't read in the darkness, but his presence alone made the thief take 3 steps back. Something about the way he moved, protective but not aggressive, powerful but controlled, made Sarah's racing heart slow just a fraction. "Evening, ma'am," the lead biker said to Sarah, tipping his head slightly, his voice gentle as summer rain. Then his gaze shifted to the thief, and something dangerous flickered in his eyes. "Son, you picked the wrong night and the wrong woman." The other bikers remained on their machines, engines idling, creating a wall of sound and steel that made escape impossible. Sarah noticed they weren't moving closer. They were simply there, present, watching. The thief's knife hand was shaking so badly now that the blade caught the light in frantic flashes. "I don't want trouble," he stammered. "I just need money. My kid is sick." The lead biker took 1 step forward, and Sarah saw something she didn't expect. His expression softened. "What's your name, son?" The question hung in the air like an unexpected mercy. "Tommy," the thief whispered. "Tommy Morrison." A strange silence fell over the group, broken only by the rumble of engines. The lead biker studied Tommy for a long moment, then turned to Sarah. "Ma'am, are you hurt?" She shook her head, unable to find her voice. He nodded, then looked back at Tommy. "Tommy Morrison. Your daddy was Mike Morrison, ran the auto shop on 10th Street. Tommy's knife lowered an inch. "You knew my dad?" And suddenly Sarah understood. This wasn't just a random encounter. These roads, these small towns, they were all connected by invisible threads of history and memory. Everyone knew everyone, or had once upon a time, before drugs and desperation rewrote the story. "Your daddy fixed my bike for 15 years, the lead biker said, his voice carrying across the parking lot. "Never overcharged, always did right by people. He talked about you all the time. How proud he was when you graduated high school. How you were going to take over the shop someday. Tommy's hand dropped completely now, the knife hanging useless at his side. That was before, he said, his voice breaking. Before he died. Before my wife left. Before he stopped, shoulders shaking. The lead biker reached into his vest slowly, deliberately, and pulled out a wallet. But he didn't take money out. Instead, he pulled out a small, worn photograph. Even from where she stood, Sarah could see it was a picture of a younger man standing next to a motorcycle, a small boy on his shoulders. This is your daddy, and you, Tommy. 4th of July Parade 2005. You were wearing that little leather jacket he bought you, remember? You wanted to be just like the bikers who came to his shop. Tommy's knife clattered to the asphalt. His knees followed, and suddenly he was just a broken young man crying in a parking lot, surrounded by ghosts of better days. He wouldn't want this for you, son, the biker continued. And now other bikers were dismounting, moving closer, not threatening, but present. Your daddy helped every one of us at some point. Fixed our bikes when we couldn't pay, gave us credit when times were hard. We don't forget. Sarah watched in amazement as these rough-looking men society taught her to fear, surrounded Tommy not with violence, but with something else entirely. One biker picked up the knife and pocketed it. Another helped Tommy to his feet. A woman biker, her gray hair in a long braid, pressed something into his hand. Money, Sarah realized. Others followed suit. These were the people who remembered Tommy's father, who carried the debt of old kindness, and were paying it forward to a lost son. You said your kid is sick? The lead biker asked. Tommy nodded, wiping his face with his sleeve. My daughter, Lucy. She's 4. The insurance won't cover the treatment, and I've been out of work for 6 months. Sarah found herself stepping forward, her fear completely forgotten. What's wrong with her? She heard herself ask. Kidney disease, Tommy whispered. She needs dialysis 3 times a week. Sarah's hand went to her mouth. Her own nephew had gone through the same thing 5 years ago. She knew the crushing weight of those medical bills, the desperation that could drive someone to unthinkable acts. There's a program, she said suddenly, at Children's Mercy Hospital. They have a fund for families who can't afford treatment. I can help you apply. Tommy looked at her, really looked at her for the first time. After what You're a father trying to save his child, Sarah said simply. I understand desperation. We all do. The lead biker placed a massive hand on Tommy's shoulder. Your daddy's shop is still empty. The landlord's been looking for someone to reopen it. I could put in a word. The boys here need someone who knows their way around an engine. Tommy's legs nearly gave out again, but this time from relief, not despair. None of us deserve the grace we get, the biker interrupted. That's why it's called grace. He turned to his crew. Tommy here is Mike Morrison's boy. His kid is sick. What do we do for family? The response was immediate and thunderous. We ride together. And suddenly, Tommy wasn't alone anymore. Phone numbers were exchanged, job offers made, promises of help given. Sarah watched this unlikely congregation minister to a broken man and felt something shift in her chest. That careful, frightened part of her that had been hiding since her divorce began to crack open. Not everyone who looked dangerous was. Not everyone who seemed safe could be trusted. The world was more complicated and more beautiful than her fear had let her see. Sometimes angels wore leather and rode Harleys, and sometimes desperate people just needed someone to remember who they used to be. An hour later, Sarah sat in the diner, surrounded by bikers who insisted on buying her dinner and making sure she was truly all right. Tommy was at another table, talking to someone about job training programs, his young face already looking years younger. The lead biker, who she'd learned was called Bear, sat across from her with his coffee. Why? She asked simply. Why help him? Why help me? Bear smiled, his weathered face crinkling. Because once upon a time, each of us was Tommy. Lost, desperate, making bad choices. Someone gave us a second chance. A brotherhood, a purpose, a family. We ride together because alone, we fall apart. Tonight, you and Tommy became part of our story. That means you're never alone on these roads again. As Sarah finally drove home, followed by 2 bikers who insisted on making sure she arrived safely. She realized her world had gotten bigger that night. Fear had made her universe small, but kindness, unexpected, leather-clad kindness, had broken it wide open. She wasn't just surviving anymore. She was part of something larger, a web of human connection that caught people when they fell. Sometimes the worst moments of our lives introduce us to the best people we'll ever meet. Sometimes danger comes not from the ones who look different, but from our own isolation. And sometimes, just sometimes, when a woman screams in a parking lot, 100 angels answer, they just happen to ride motorcycles. Have you ever experienced a moment when the people you feared most became your unexpected protectors? When has kindness come from the most unlikely source in your life? Do you believe that our greatest trials often lead us to our most profound connections?